Shalom, shalom. We're back with another video. So before I get started, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekha Kodash, to the elder apostle, the elder bishop of Great Millstone, who rule well. I'd like to give double honor. Shalom to the 144,000, to the 1/3, to the hopeful elect. Shalom. We're here with another lesson. I'm going to call Who Has Resisted His Will? We're going to go into this article that says Putin not swayed by Trump's Ukraine war ultimatum. Russian President Vladimir Putin has voiced hopes for further peace talks with Ukraine, but stressed his troops were advancing on the entire front line despite the threat of tougher U.S. sanctions if a ceasefire were not agreed upon. So we're going to skip down a little bit. Let's see. All right. We'll start here. But in a veiled reference to growing pressure from Ukraine and its Western allies to agree to a long-term ceasefire, he said, talking about Putin here, as for any disappointment on the part of anyone, all disappointment arises from inflated expectations. So basically he's saying, if they got disappointed, they disappointed themselves. They thought he was going to want a longer ceasefire. He said, basically, he just saying, I never said it. All right. Our enemies and ill wishers now have one fiery passion: to stop our advance on the front line of Ukraine at any cost. Ukraine and its allies have reportedly accused Russia of stalling peace negotiations and rejecting any meaningful ceasefire, saying Moscow is trying to seize more Ukrainian territories. Basically, Putin saying, man, I want that land. And he like the booty warrior. You gonna give me that booty. 3 rounds of Russian-Ukraine talks in Istanbul, Turkey, in recent months ended without any major breakthrough. The two sides, however, agreed to swap several thousand POW. Speaking shortly after Putin comment, Zelensky questioned whether Russia was showing serious readiness to end the war with dignity and establish a truly lasting peace, Slovakia, or whether it was just an attempt to buy more time for war and to postpone sanctions. In recent weeks, Russia has intensified its deadly drone and missile strikes on Ukraine. On Thursday, at least 31 people, including 5 children, were killed in a Russian aerial assault on the Ukraine capital. U.S. President Donald Trump condemned Russian action threatening new sanctions. I wonder why he don't sanction Israel for the stuff they do. That's neither here nor there, though. Russia, I think, is disgusting what you're doing, he told journalists. When in July, Trump announced his original 50-day deadline for Russia to end the war, Putin didn't react. When that was reduced to 10 to 12 days, Putin said nothing. But on Friday, the Kremlin leader left little doubt that he would not be swayed by the White House ultimatum. And we're going to stop right there, man. Because as the title says, who has resisted his will? Well, no one. No one can resist the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Not any person, not any beast, not any plant, heck, not even any spirit. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has total control over everything. So just like he has total control of everything, Putin is not about to stop what he's doing. He's going to continue to advance on Ukraine. He's going to continue to war with them because it's the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai that Russia does do these things because he has put the spirit on them to go back to that old Soviet Union mindset. So they're here. So Russia is trying to take back all the land that the USSR or the Soviet Union had back in those days. So this war is not going to stop. It's not going to stop till really prophecy be fulfilled. So we're going to start off with that here in the book of Ezekiel 38, 2 through 4. Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against it. And say, thus says Yahweh power, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy armies, horses and horsemen, all them clad with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And we're seeing that Russian war machines getting let loose on Ukraine. Like they said, they was already advancing on the front lines of Ukraine. So when they wanted to talk peace, they feel like they were being interrupted with what they were doing. But this is all the will of Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai that Russia act like this. Because he done put them hooks into the jaws of Russia and turning them back. So if Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai is the one who's doing the turning, what can man do? Nothing. There's nothing a man can do to change what Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai has set forth. Remember, the things that we are seeing that's going on has already been preordained, predestined by Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai. The thing Russia are doing has already been set in stone since the beginning, as the scriptures say. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and get that. This is Isaiah 46 and 10. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from declaring the end from the beginning. See, the end was already declared. Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai had already written the things that would happen in the end of days. Like Russia going against Ukraine and not stopping till they get what they want. Till they get the land that they're fighting for. All right? Isaiah 46 and 10. Declaring the end from the beginning. And from ancient time, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. See? This is the pleasure of Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai that Russia and Ukraine continue to have this war going on. As it's saying, this was prophesied in ancient times. The wars and rumors of wars. Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai turning back to putting his hooks in the jaws of Russia and turning them back to that old Soviet Union mindset. All this was prophesied from the beginning and from ancient times. So who can really stop Putin from doing anything Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai want him to do? No one. No one can resist the Most High. You don't have enough power to go against the being that created everything. So you don't have enough money, enough blackmail, or whatever you want to call it, to make Putin and Russia step back away from Ukraine and do a ceasefire. That would never happen because Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai didn't will it to. It's not prophesied that Russia will enter into a ceasefire and leave Ukraine alone, and the third war won't come. No, that third war has to come. Russia has to keep being in this warlike mindset because it's the will of Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai, which no one can fight against because we're all moving by his will. There's no one in this earth that ain't doing his will at this moment. Whatever you doing is what Yahweh Ba'Shem Hawashai had already preordained for you to do. That's why we're going to go here, Romans 9 and 19. Doubt will say then unto me, why doeth he yet find fault? For who have resisted his will? Yeah, who has resisted the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua? Like I said, no one. There's no spirit, no plant, no animal, the, from the stars in heaven to the sun to the moon. Everything is moved by his will. Everything is set up by the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. So nothing has resisted his will. So these peace talk was never gonna work because it's the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua that they won't work. That Putin will continue to bomb Ukraine, like they said, with those missile and drone attacks, that his armies will continue advancing, and that they continue to take land away from Ukraine. This war will never be over with until Yahweh Bashim Yahushua put the spirit on Russia to fully commit to it and take what's theirs, lock it. So no one has resisted his will. So this peace talk that they trying to do and trying to set up, those sanctions that they are trying to bring against Russia to get them to at least talk about peace, none of it's going to work. Because the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is that it won't work. That they will continue to war. Remember, as it said in the book of Exodus, Yahweh is a man of war. So if he's a man of war, you think he about to stop war? No. Because these wars, these battles fulfill prophecies that were said to happen here in the end time. Alright? It's like it. We're going to go here next. This is the book of Proverbs and the AMP Bible, and the Amplified Bible. A man's mind plans his ways as his journey through life, but Yahweh directed his steps and established it. Yeah. Now you think Putin didn't think about, man, this might be getting a little out of hand, or I done enough or something like that? Of course. But guess what? Yahweh Bashim Yahushua directed his step. He always have one of these other nations do a little something to change Putin's mind about, you know what? Forget that. I'm gonna keep going harder. You can't fight the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. That's what this is saying. That's why I asked that question. Who has resisted his will? Nobody. Because even though you might plan for something, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is gonna be the one that direct your step. And he's directing Russia's step into war. Into that warlike mindset that they're gonna have to Yahweh come back and put them under. Everything is playing out how Yahweh Bashim Yahushua wanted this to play. So there is no stopping Russia. They're not gonna quit their offensive on Ukraine. You can sanction Putin all you want to, and as you've seen, as they said, he didn't give a damn anyway. When they did it, he didn't. When they set a deadline, didn't say nothing. When they sped that deadline up, he still didn't give a fuck. Why? Because those spirits are talking to Putin and letting him know, hey, you in the right, my boy. Keep doing what you're doing. All to fulfill the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. The will that no one can resist, no one can say no to. And if you think anybody did, it was already Yahweh Bashim Yahushua who put the spirit on them to think that way. See, you can't resist. Whether you do or whether you don't, it's still his will that both of those things will happen. And that's the beauty of the Most High. That's why he's the all-powerful. Because no one can resist it. Everything moves at his command. Everything stops at his command, man. And we're going to close out here on Isaiah 14:27. For Yahweh of hosts has purpose, and who shall disannul it? Question mark. Yeah. Matter of fact, let's go into that word disannul. Because no one can disannul what Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has set forth. So Russia is not going to stop because Yahweh Shem Shai hasn't disannulled it. He hasn't said, okay, get off of him, let him go. All this is the will of Yahweh Shem Shai. That Russia continued their assault on Ukraine, and just like the Israeli assault on Gaza. All this is the will of Yahweh Shem Shai. Nobody can fight it. Nobody can disannul it. Let's see what that word for disannul. Strong H6565. Para. A primitive root to break up, usually figuratively, i.e. to violate, to frustrate, anyways, break, asunder, cast off, cause to cease. Yeah. Who's gonna cause Russia to cease when Yahweh Shem Shai has said it won't? When Russia is fulfilling his purpose. That's why the scripture asks, who can disannul it? Who can cause it to cease? No one. Because no one can resist his will. Clean, defeat, disannul, disappoint, dissolve, divide, make of none effect. Yeah. Who can make Yahweh Shem Shai purpose of none effect? That Russia continue to do what they do? No one. Fail, frustrate, bring, come, to not, utterly make void. To break, frustrate, to break, to violate, to frustrate, to make ineffectual. Yeah, there's nothing that can do it, man. No one can break what Yahweh Shem Shai has purpose. To split, to divide, to break, to bits, to shatter, to be broken, to break, to split, to crack through, to break apart. Yeah, nobody can break this apart, man. This is gonna happen because Yahweh Shem Shai has willed it to. So let's go here. We're going back. Isaiah 14:27. For Yahweh of hosts has purpose, and who shall disannul it? Who shall break it apart? Question mark. No one. And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? Question mark. No one. The Lord's hand is stretched out over this world, and he's bringing it to an end. He's bringing Esau Edom rulership to an end. And by world, I mean in an aeon sense. I mean an age, a time period. The rulership of Esau is quickly coming to an end. And the rulership of Yahweh Shai and the children of Israel, forever kingdom, is close at hand, man. I want to get this in another translation before I go. It was one I seen earlier. Let's see. In the CEB, this looked like a good one. I think this was it. Yahweh, the heavenly forces, has created a plan. Who can stop it? Question mark. Yeah, who can stop his plan? Nobody can. Yahweh's hand has extended. Who will stop it? Nobody. This is what I wanted in the CEV. I, Yahweh, all powerful, have made these plans. No one can stop me now. No one. Beautiful. No one can stop Yahweh by Shem Shai. They're all powerful. Let's get a little definition on that. All powerful. Having complete power. Almighty. Yeah. Yahweh by Shem Shai is all powerful. So how can you stop an all-powerful being purpose? You can't. Only thing you can do is do what he has purposed you to do. Even if you think you can, that's still part of his purpose. So if he set you up to be destroyed, hey, it was his purpose that you try to fight against him just so he can set you up, like he did Pharaoh in Exodus. Pharaoh didn't want to come after the Israelites after the hell Yahweh Shai put them through. But guess what? So his purpose may be manifested, He hardened Pharaoh's heart, led him out there to his own destruction. Fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. And the whole world is in his hands, man. So this fight with Russia and Ukraine, it won't end. Not until Yahweh Ba'Shem Al-Shai has finished its purpose. But that's all I had on that. I hope this lesson was edifying. Give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rikaha Kwadash, and Shalom.